नमस्कार, आप सबका बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है. Good afternoon and welcome all of you. We have today with us the Secretary East, Srimati Preeti Saran. She is here to brief you on the forthcoming visit of the Vice President to Armenia and Poland. And therefore, we also have with us Joint Secretary Central Europe, Shri Subrata Bhattacharjee, and Joint Secretary ERS, Shri G.V. Srinivas, and of course on my left, Mr. Anshuman Gaur, who many of you would know, otherwise also. He is the OSD to Vice President. So today's proceedings will be in two parts. First, I would request Secretary East to brief you, and then maybe we would have, if she has time after her statement, then if we have time, then we can take 2-3 questions. And thereafter, we'll have a brief break, and then I will continue the regular weekly briefing, which is held on Thursdays. So, ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and namaskar, and good afternoon. And thank you so much for kindly joining us for this briefing. The first part, as you just heard JSXV mention, is about Honorable Vice President's visit to Armenia and to Poland. Honorable Vice President of India will be visiting Armenia and Poland in the next week. He will spend 2 days, that is April 25th and 26th, in Yerevan, where he will have meetings with the President of Armenia, the Prime Minister, as well as the Foreign Minister. In addition, Honorable Vice President will also meet with the Supreme Patriarch and Catholicos of all Armenians. He will address students and faculty at the Yerevan University. The President of Armenia will host a lunch banquet in honor of Honorable Vice President, and the Prime Minister will host a banquet dinner. In the second lap of Honorable Vice President's journey, he'll be in Poland. He will reach on 26th evening and spend the next 2 days there, where he will, of course, meet the President of Poland, the Prime Minister, who will also host a banquet in his honor, and the Speaker of the Senate, which is the upper house. The Vice President will inaugurate a business seminar. He'll deliver a lecture at the University of Warsaw and inaugurate the Indian Embassy Chancery cum Residential Complex. This is befitting that the embassy is being inaugurated by Honorable Vice President on its 60th anniversary of the establishment of our embassy in Warsaw. The Ambassador of India will host a reception in honor of the Honorable Vice President, where he's expected to meet the Indian community and friends of India in Poland. Honorable Vice President will be accompanied by Srimati Salma Ansari. He's also being accompanied by a multi-party delegation comprising of the Minister of State for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, as well as 4 members of Parliament from both houses of the Parliament. This is Honorable Vice President's first visit to both Armenia and to Poland. His visit to Armenia takes place at a time when we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations with Armenia, and therefore it's a landmark visit. And it's the second such visit at the level of the Vice President of India to Armenia. We've had, of course, the visit of the President of Armenia in 1995 and in 2005, and the President of the Armenian National Assembly visited India in 2013. India and Armenia, as perhaps you all know, we share historical and civilizational ties, a common culture, traditions and language, values, and even a similar mindset. Armenian churches in India are a regular reminder of our historical links with that country. Historians have recorded the contribution by Armenians to our trade and commerce, as well as to cultural activities. India's relations with Armenia are excellent, and we have a long history of supporting each other in international forums. India has assisted Armenia in IT-related projects, and we have shared our experience in agriculture, in defense, health, science, and technology. We hold regular Foreign Office consultations, as well as intergovernmental meetings in different sectors, primarily in agriculture, in science and technology, economics, and trade. Indian films and television programs are extremely popular in Armenia. Although our trade is below potential, there is scope for further cooperation in several sectors, such as IT, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, automobiles, garments, and textiles. The Indian group Kalpataru Power Transmission Limited is currently executing a transmission tower project in Armenia. India has also assisted Armenia in setting up a center of excellence with the Param supercomputer and a telemedicine project. Armenians have welcomed India's iTech and scholarship programs, which are very popular. There is also a Hindi chair at the Yerevan State Linguistic University. Incidentally, Vice President will also be addressing, if I haven't mentioned it earlier, would also be addressing students and faculty at the Yerevan University. We expect that Honorable Vice President's visit to Armenia will further strengthen our relations with this country. Honorable Vice President will then visit Warsaw, 26th and 28th April, as I mentioned to you earlier. Our relations with Poland can be traced back several centuries. During the Second World War, the then Jam Sahib of Navanagar had extended hospitality to over 6,000 Polish children, which is still fondly remembered in Poland in present times. India has close ties with Poland from our independence days. Since the 1990s, our countries have built a strong economic content to this relationship. We have a substantial trade with Poland, as well as an important investments relationship. Nearly $3 billion Indian investments in Poland, and about $600 million Polish investments in India. There are regular exchanges of bilateral visits between our two countries. The president of Poland our president had visited Poland in 2009, and the Polish Prime Minister had visited India in 2010. Our Vice President's visit at this stage, therefore, provides continuity to our high-level exchanges with Poland. India sees Poland as an important emerging economy, not just in Europe, but also globally. Today, Poland is India's largest economic partner in Central Europe. Our bilateral trade has seen a growth of over 25% just in 1 year alone. As Polish business looks for markets and business opportunities beyond Europe, India is a natural partner. We find several Polish technologies of great relevance and of interest to us in our national development programs, particularly in the areas of food processing, in coal mining, in green and renewable energy, as well as in education. We see mutually beneficial opportunities in these sectors. Thus, an important focus of Honorable Vice President's visit to Poland will be to deepen our economic engagement. On the political side, Poland has been very supportive of India's concerns and aspirations, and Honorable Vice President is expected to discuss strengthening cooperation in international fora, including at the United Nations and other multilateral agencies. So I'll stop here. It's a very comprehensive brief, so I'd be happy to take any questions.
Would you like to take questions collectively, or will you take it?
Since you have your full briefing thereafter, maybe better to take questions collectively and then respond.
Yeah. And after that, Manish.
Hi, sir. I'm Siddhant from Doordarshan News. Ma'am, question to you. Will India's NSG membership will be discussed with Poland during the visit of the Vice President?
Ma'am, what is the larger geopolitical context to these two visits? Because it's not often that our leaders go to these countries. And what agreements can we expect to be signed during visit to Armenia and Poland?
So thank you for those questions. As far as NSG is concerned, Poland has been very supportive of our membership of the NSG, and we've been very appreciative and thankful to them. So certainly, when it comes up, it will definitely provide Honorable Vice President to thank the government of Poland for the support that they have provided to India, and not only in our seeking membership of NSG, but also in other international forums. Coming to the other question of what geopolitical strategy does it serve, well, these are two important countries with whom we have excellent relations. I think any relationship, no matter how strong or deep the economic, cultural, political, scientific, and other areas of cooperation might be, can only be sustained through high-level visits. And therefore, Honorable Vice President's visit comes at a time to maintain that high-level contacts. In the case of Armenia, of course, it also happens to be the 25th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations, so that is a big landmark in our relationship, and therefore Honorable Vice President's visit is very appropriate. As far as Poland is concerned, I've already mentioned to you that there is a strong economic content to the relationship, which we hope to enhance with the fact that he would be there at such a high level. It's a high level of engagement. The fact that he'd be, in fact, inaugurating a business seminar. And so it serves all our purposes to pursue our national development goals. As far as agreements are concerned, these are still under discussions. I'm sure we'd be happy to share additional details as the visit goes along. But we do hope that some agreements will be finalized during the visit. In the case of Armenia, we are certainly looking at enhancing greater cultural cooperation and a greater cooperation amongst the youth of our two countries. So that is an area which is under discussion. With Poland, they have been very keen to sell apples to us, and so I think agriculture is an important area. Both agricultural products, we also sell a lot of agricultural products to Poland and look forward to also importing from Poland. So agricultural cooperation and agro-processing is an important area. In addition, there are other areas under discussion, and we'll share other details as the visit proceeds. Thank you.
On the visit, so can we take one last question here? Just wait for the microphone, please.
Ma'am, there are a lot of Polish companies which want to participate, come here under IKEA for supplying to IKEA here in India. So can you talk about that? And what about the defense component in the Polish visit?
Specifically on IKEA, I might not have details, but maybe separately I can tell you. But yes, Polish companies are most welcome. As I mentioned to you, we have about $3 billion worth of Indian investments in Poland that provide employment to more than 25,000 workers. So that is a very good example of Indian investments that creates jobs locally in the country where it is investing, as well as helps develop the economy of that country. In turn, India has, as you know, more recently definitely gone up in the index of doing business in our country. We have liberalized several sectors, including the defense sector. We would welcome Polish investments coming into India. I think in terms of ease of doing business, India is becoming more and more a popular destination with our growth of 7% and a big market. Certainly that has already attracted about $600 million worth of Polish investments, and we'd welcome more, including in the defense sector.
One thing you missed, ma'am.
Yes, sure, I'd be happy to mention. As I already told you, the composition of the delegation, the high-level composition, includes the Honorable Minister of Small, Micro, Medium Enterprises. So that is Honorable Minister Shri Giriraj Singh. In addition, Honorable Vice President will be accompanied by 4 members of Parliament, and they are Shri Sitaram Yechuri from CPIM, Rajya Sabha, Shri D.P. Tripathi, again Rajya Sabha NCP, Shri Vivek Tankha from the Indian National Congress Rajya Sabha, and Shri Thumstan Chevant, Lok Sabha, BJP. So these are the 4.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And with that, we've come to the end of this first part of today's briefing. So thank you very much for taking your time. And also thanks to my colleagues and friends, Joint Secretaries and Anshuman. Thank you very much. So if you are ready, I am ready. We start? All right. Wait. So we begin the second part, which is the regular briefing, our weekly briefing. Thank you once again to all of you for coming today here. I have an opening announcement. It is about the working visit of the Sri Lankan Prime Minister to India. So the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, His Excellency Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, will be traveling to India on a working visit from 25th to 29th of April 2017. 26th April will be the main day of his official engagements in New Delhi. Our Prime Minister will be hosting a luncheon meeting with His Excellency Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe on the 26th of April. External Affairs Minister, the Minister of Home Affairs, and the Minister for Road Transport and Highways and Shipping will be calling on the visiting Sri Lankan dignitary. After his official engagements in Delhi, the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka will be making a private visit outside the capital. The visit of the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka to India from 25th April is part of our continuing engagement with the government of Sri Lanka at the highest level. So that concludes my one and only announcement for today. I'm in your hands. Yeah.
So, of course, it's an internal matter as far as Pakistan is concerned, but we are an important neighbor and we have an engagement. How does the MEA and the government see what has happened today on the Panama Papers?
Srinjoy, thank you very much for asking the question and also answering it.
Gopal, China has named, or renamed 6 of the Arunachal, regions in its own language or in its own terms. How does India see this?
Well, I can only say, Vinita, that if you rename or invent names for the towns of your neighbor, it doesn't make illegally held territory legal. So Arunachal Pradesh has always been an integral part of India, and it will continue to be so. Adit and then Ranjit.
So officially, any update on Kulbhushan Jadhav? Any kind of official word from the MOFA yet? Because we heard that yesterday the Deputy High Commissioner was summoned, but there wasn't any official confirmation from your side. And also, we heard that there was a meeting sought from, Tehmina Janjua, the Foreign Secretary. And has that happened? Has that meeting happened? And what are the fresh demands that India has made?
So if you permit, I would club all the Kulbhushan Jadhav questions again together so that it is easier for you to ask and easier for us to cover all the aspects. If anybody else has a Kulbhushan Jadhav related question, yes, then I'll come to you, Manish.
कुलभूषण जाधव को लेकर ही पहले भी एमईए 2 बार उनके अधिकारियों को बोला चुका है। मेरा सवाल ये है, क्या इस मामले में कहाँ तक बातचीत पहुँची है? क्या कोई ऐसी पॉसिबिलिटी है बची हुई है कि जिससे कुलभूषण जाधव को बचाने की कोशिश सफल हो सकती है?
There are indications from Pakistan that it plans to share the Jadhav dossier with the international community. It has asked its envoy stationed outside to share the dossier. What is your counter strategy? Are we looking to mobilize international public opinion? More specifically, United States National Security Advisor was here. Did we take up this issue? Thank you.
There's a petition filed in the Delhi High Court yesterday that the MEA should be directed to file the case of Kulbhushan Jadhav in International Court of Justice. Are we contemplating taking this case to International Court of Justice?
Sir, can you share some details about what exactly happened at the meeting yesterday when the MEA had summoned the Pak Deputy High Commissioner? And during that meeting, did Pakistan give a clear-cut response on our 14th request for consular access to Jadhav? Have they rejected it or no?
इधर दीजिए फोन.
So, do you have any idea how many Pakistani spies are there in Indian jails, and whether there has been any time that you had denied access to them?
We'll take this last question on Kulbhushan Jadhav there, and then I will attempt to answer your questions.
सर ये सवाल पिछली बार भी पूछा गया था कि कुलभूषण जाधव के स्वास्थ्य के बारे में, उनके वेलबींग के बारे में हमारे पास आखिरी जानकारी कौन सी है, उन्हें कहाँ रखा गया है, क्या इस बारे में भारत जानता है, और आज की तारीख में वो स्वस्थ हैं नहीं हैं, इस बारे में भारत के पास क्या रिपोर्ट है?
धन्यवाद आपके सवालों के लिए. थैंक यू ऑल वेरी मच फॉर योर क्वेश्चंस. Without referring to specific colleagues, I would try and answer them. First of all, update on what happened. Yes, you are right. The Deputy High Commissioner was called in yesterday, the Deputy High Commissioner of Pakistan to MEA. What we are doing right now is we are, as Pakistan has claimed that there have been legal proceedings in Pakistan against Mr. Kulbhushan Jadhav. So indeed, if there have been any proceedings against him, then obviously we would like to see officially the details of those proceedings. So this is what we have sought from the government of Pakistan. And we would also, of course, like to know what is the future course of action. Officially, we would like to know that in terms of the appeal process, what are the options and how they can be exercised. So that information also officially we have sought from the government of Pakistan. Of course, आपने सवाल पूछा उनके स्वास्थ्य के बारे में. Coming to that. That is related to his question, so I'll answer. आपने सवाल पूछा उनके स्वास्थ्य के बारे में और कहाँ पर हैं. ये जैसा कि मैंने पहले भी आपसे कहा था पिछली बार, हमको इस बारे में कोई जानकारी नहीं है कि वो कहाँ पर हैं, और अभी तक भी इस बारे में हमको कोई जानकारी नहीं है कि कुलभूषण जाधव जी पाकिस्तान में कहाँ पर हैं. ये पाकिस्तान सरकार का कहना है कि वो उनकी कस्टडी में है और पाकिस्तान में हैं, लेकिन उनका स्वास्थ्य कैसा है, उनके हालात कैसे हैं, किस तरीके से वो हैं, ये हमारे लिए एक चिंता का विषय है. और हमने इस बारे में अपनी चिंता पहले भी जाहिर करी है, और हमने पाकिस्तान सरकार को भी अपनी चिंता से और अपनी मंशा से अवगत कराया है कि हमको उनके संबंध में जानकारी दी जाए. और इनफैक्ट जानकारी ही नहीं दी जाए बल्कि उनसे कॉन्सुलर भेंट करने के लिए हमने, जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, 14 बार अब तक पाकिस्तान सरकार से, और कल को अगर मिला लें तो 15वीं बार भी हमने पाकिस्तान सरकार से मांग करी है. और कॉन्सुलर भेंट का करने के दो कारण हैं प्रमुखतः. एक तो ये कि ये इस बात को से आश्वस्त होना कि वो किस हालत में हैं, उनका स्वास्थ्य कैसा है, किस प्रकार से है, उनको किसी चीज़ की आवश्यकता है कि नहीं है, और अगर हो सके तो उस आवश्यकता की पूर्ति करना. ये नॉर्मल कॉन्सुलर भेंट प्रक्रिया है जो कि सारे प्रिजनर्स, सारे कैदियों, फिशरमैन, मछुआरों वगैरह के लिए करी जाती है. तो एक आस्पेक्ट इसका ये है. दूसरा पहलू इसका कॉन्सुलर भेंट का ये है क्योंकि कुलभूषण जाधव जी के खिलाफ एक ख़ास किस्म के आरोप लगाए गए हैं जो कि निराधार हैं. तो इस संबंध में उनका मंतव्य क्या है, उनका नज़रिया क्या है, उनका पहलू क्या है, उससे भी सरकार को अवगत होना चाहिए. और इसलिए हमने भी पाकिस्तान सरकार से कॉन्सुलर भेंट की मांग अब तक 15 बार करी है. जहाँ तक जाधव जी के बारे में इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी को अवगत कराने का सवाल है पाकिस्तान के द्वारा, तो उस संबंध में हमने पहले भी इस तरह की रिपोर्ट्स देखी हैं. वी हैव सीन द रिपोर्ट्स मनीष अर्लियर ऑल्सो दैट दे हैव ट्राइड टू misinform the international community and presented what they call certain information to them, what they also at one point called evidence, but you are very well aware that their senior dignitaries themselves said that it was more of information rather than evidence, and said so in their parliament. So I won't like to comment on that in any detail at this stage. Whether we discuss this matter with dignitaries visiting India or elsewhere, I don't have information on that. The question about the petition in the Delhi High Court or Delhi Judiciary that MEA should move ICJ, if there is a petition and there is sub judice, it will obviously not be appropriate for me to comment on that. I would only say that government has said very clearly that we will do all that we can. जो कुछ हमसे बन पड़ेगा, सरकार से बन पड़ेगा, सरकार सारे प्रयास करेगी और कर रही है कि कुलभूषण जाधव जी को न्याय मिले, so that justice is ensured for him. कितने पाकिस्तानी स्पाइज हैं या नहीं है, मैं आई एम सॉरी आई डोंट हैव दिस इंफॉर्मेशन राइट नाउ विद मी, बट आई कैन ascertain this information. There are obviously a number of Pakistani prisoners, civil prisoners as we call them, who are lodged in Indian jails on various charges. In many cases, they pertain to serious crimes against the state of India. And I also don't have the details whether all of them have been given consular access or not. But consular access offering is one thing, and availing of consular access is also there. In some cases, we also have to see whether the country to whom we have offered consular access has availed it or not. So those details are not here with me. I will try and collect those details. So I think that covers.
I had asked for a response of what was the response of the Pak Deputy High Commissioner to your 14th request. What did he say?
Okay. We await a formal official response from the government of Pakistan to the demands that we have made. As far as granting consular access is concerned, as I mentioned to you, this is a process in which the nationals which are held in the custody of our government, the concerned government is informed, and then there is a process to it. So whether we have offered the consular access or they have availed it or not availed, these are functional details, procedural details. I don't have them right now. I can ascertain them. On this matter or on some other?
Some other matter. Are we finishing Jadhav right now?
I think we have, yeah.
So this is on NSA McMaster's visit.
Mm-hmm.
If you can share details about it, especially what we spoke about Pakistan, and did they share any details of the strike that took place in Nangarhar province recently, any details about the Indian skills, and specifically about that statement about Pakistan to Tolu News where they said that Pakistan cannot be selective in its approach to terrorists?
Parikshit, I don't have a detailed readout on the discussions, but I'm sure you have seen the press release put out after the US National Security Advisor's call on the Prime Minister, our Prime Minister, and it broadly mentions the areas that were covered, and it also broadly mentions that both sides discussed in terms of enhancing their cooperation to fight terrorism, and they discussed the security situation in the wider region, Afghanistan, etc. But I don't know if any specific actions or developments in Afghanistan were discussed or were covered during his discussions. As far as the comments which you referred to by the US National Security Advisor regarding Pakistan fighting terrorism in a less selective manner, we have noted those comments, and I would say that they basically they are similar to our long-standing views, our own views that we have held on the need for Pakistan to effectively fight all forms of terrorism emanating from its soil, and that affects its neighboring countries. I would say that we have a similarity of approach with the United States on this aspect.
So, the issue of Ontario Assembly was raised with National Defence Minister of Canada, and if yes, what was his response?
I do not have the details on what specific issues were discussed in the meetings which the Defence Minister of Canada had with the Indian authorities. His visit is still ongoing, as you know. But as far as the specific issue that you have mentioned, as you are aware, and we have said it publicly, we have issued a statement on that. Our views were made familiar to the government of Canada, to the Canadian authorities earlier. Elizabeth.
Mr. Bagley, when General McMaster had come, did he have an invite for the visit to the US from President Trump for the Prime Minister? were any dates for the visit discussed? Any details on that?
No, I'm not aware of that.
So there are reports that Prime Minister Modi will also be visiting Sri Lanka next month. So can you tell us what's on agenda? What are we looking forward to during the visit?
You mean our Prime Minister's visit to Sri Lanka next month? Well, I can say that the invitation has been received for him to visit Sri Lanka, and the details are being worked out at this stage. When we have more details, we'll let you know. We'll come to you. Nanima?
Sir, on this H-1B and Australia visa issue, you said a full assessment is being made. How soon can we see that assessment, and which all stakeholders are you consulting, please?
Thank you, Nanima. I think we are talking to all concerned people. We are certainly speaking to the industry. We are speaking to the industry bodies, because it is the IT industry, Indian workers, which it is a matter which concerns them most directly. So we obviously are talking to the industry. We are talking to the industry bodies. That they are very important stakeholders in this. And as far as when the impact or assessment will be there, so I would like to remind you that what has happened in the United States is basically an executive order has been signed. Now it has to be acted upon, and as a result of which it would perhaps be expected that there would be a legislation in the US Congress or some other sort of process concerning the H-1B visas. So once that process takes place, then we will have to make an assessment depending on the details at that stage of the changes made. So right now, what we have is an executive order, and I think it's an internal process in the United States which will unfold on this matter in the coming days and weeks, and we'll keep a very close watch on that. But since you have raised this matter, I think it would be appropriate for me to recall that a couple of aspects in this regard. One, that we have already pointed out the contribution which the Indian professionals have made to the competitiveness of the US economy and the innovations within the US economy. We have also earlier on referred to the contribution of these professionals as bridge builders between the two economies, the United States and India, as well as between the two countries, the larger societies of the two countries. And let me also put in perspective this whole matter. It is not an immigration issue, as we have said earlier. It's basically a trade and services issue. There is mutuality of interest is involved over here. There are Indian companies, Indian workers in United States. There are also United States companies in India. As you know, very large United States companies, and I don't need to name them, in the IT sector, which dominate the world, the multilaterals, giants of the corporate world, which have basically originated from the United States, are represented in India in a large way, in large numbers. So there is a mutuality of interest over here, and I can assure you that the implications of the changes that will come about in the visa regimes will be part of our conversations on these matters with the concerned countries. Thank you.
Hi, Sam. Siddhant from Doordarshan News. My question on Vijay Mallya. He was arrested, got bail. The release said that both the governments are in touch with each other. Can you just give us more details on that?
Yes, indeed, the two governments are in touch with each other on the matter of the extradition proceedings against Mr. Vijay Mallya. Our High Commission in London has been following up the matter with the United Kingdom authorities. And this is now, as far as I know, the next date of hearing has been set for 17th of May. So the two governments will remain in touch in this regard. What I must point out that what is going on right now in the United Kingdom is their internal process in response to the extradition request made by the Indian government. So we'll remain in touch in that regard.
Is India sending any representative to OBOR summit, to One Belt, One Road summit in Beijing? Is India sending any representative? If yes, at what level?
Ranjit, all that I know at the moment is that there is an invitation and it is being given consideration.
So you said the implications of the H-1B visa review would be part of your conversations with the Americans. Do the visas, especially this sort of visas, have been part of the people-to-people contact as well as the commercial and economic relations between the two sides? Do you think that there would come a time when this sort of issues would start impacting the broader relationship between India and the United States, especially since it deals with the the economic relations of the countries?
Is there any other question on the H-1B visa issue or related issue? Okay.
On the Australian visa issue, the MEA issued a statement following the Australian changes earlier in the week, saying that it would be considered in the light of trade negotiations. Can I ask you to elaborate on what that meant? And secondly, today Australia's Trade Minister has said that he's received no communication of any concern from the Indian side. Can that be taken to mean that there is none, or are there plans to raise it?
So I'll answer Kallol's question and then come to you. I won't like to speculate at this stage on what the impact would be, because as I said, there is an executive order to the best of my understanding, and it needs to be translated into points of action. We'll closely monitor that process, and we'll keep that matter on our radar. Okay, so let me not speculate on what the impact would be. As I said, that we have said earlier that the relationship between the United States and India is very strong. It is looking up. The leadership is committed in both the countries to make it even stronger. And that is the context in which, the larger perspective in which we see the India-United States relationship. But on this specific issue, as I said, I won't like to speculate unless we see the details. All right. On the Australian changes in the visa regime, we have said yesterday and also I think a day before that, we have issued 2 statements, basically pointing out that we understand that these changes means that one regime is being replaced by another policy, by another visa policy. We also understand, because the Australian senior officials have told us that the impact on the Indian professionals, IT professionals will be negligible because they fall in the high skill category. At the same time, as I have said earlier in response to a question on this side, that these are trade and services issues. I understand that we have a CICA under negotiation between Australia and India, and obviously the trade and services, all trade and services aspects and matters would fall within the purview of CICA and CICA negotiations. Whether there is an official communication of our concern to the Australian side so far or not, I don't have information, and I will need to check on that. But certainly our statements that we have issued from the government are in the public domain.
Sir, there are conflicting reports on Indians affected in Afghanistan, especially in the US bombings. So what is the official information India has in this matter? Because yesterday there were reports that 13 Indians were killed, and there were earlier reports that Indians joined IS there. So what is the actual position? So
far, as you rightly said, we have seen various versions, different types of media reports, different reports in the media, and we have officially no information with us.
So my question is about China renaming places in Arunachal Pradesh. You already told us that what MEA feels on this. My question is that are we looking at it as a confrontation from China to India? Are we looking at it as a repercussion of Dalai Lama's visit to India? And have we made any official communication to Beijing about what we think about this on this matter?
I do not want to speculate on the reason behind these changes. I mean, you mentioned His Holiness Dalai Lama's visit to Arunachal Pradesh. I won't like to go into that speculation as to what is the reason behind this. I have mentioned earlier today right here, that naming the towns doesn't alter the reality. Arunachal Pradesh is an integral part of India, and it will remain so. Now, what you have additionally asked is whether we have conveyed anything to the government of China, and does it have any repercussions for the boundary question. Insofar as I understand, there is no communication from the government of China also on renaming us of this officially to us, but this is my understanding at the moment. All that we have seen are these statements in the media. As to the repercussion on the boundary question, let me say that there is an established bilateral mechanism to address the boundary question between China and India. That mechanism has made certain progress, and we would expect that the boundary question will be addressed in an honorable and mutually acceptable manner.
Sir, can you share with us some details about the visit of the High Representative of the European Union, and if it means a resuming of the negotiation?
Any particular negotiation that you are referring to?
The trade negotiation.
All right. Yeah. All right. The High Representative and the Vice President of the European Union, Ms. Mogherini, will be in Delhi, I think tonight, in the early hours of tomorrow, which is 21st April. And she will be here until 23rd of April. So at the moment, what I have is that she has a meeting scheduled with the External Affairs Minister for tomorrow. Then, of course, there is delegation level talks and other protocol events. And I think there are certain events which she is taking part of, which I don't have all the details. I'm aware of her meeting with the External Affairs Minister slated for tomorrow. So when the two leaders meet, I don't want to prejudge or preempt or pronounce myself on what the leaders will discuss. I will leave it to the leaders to define their agenda and to discuss what they would eventually. After the meeting, I think we will be in a better position to inform you of the discussions held between the leaders. So if you have exhausted all your questions, I think I have also exhausted myself. So with that, I take your leave for today. Good day, and see you next week, hopefully. Thank you.